We're ready.
All right. So I am here with Allison Hill and Allison Horst, and we have just wrapped up recording our Palmer Penguins Power Hour data and curiosity conversation. So now it's time for your questions. We'll start with Brandon Rohr. So Brandon asks, the whole Palmer Penguins saga, collection, preparation, publishing, illustration, documentation, and promotion seems like an epic undertaking. Would you do it again? And he's assuming yes. What would you do differently?
I would say yes.
No, you guys.
No.
I feel like I made you start the first time every time, so I was like, oh, I'll take one for the team. But you go.
Sneaky. I would say yes. I got to work with Alison Hill and Kristen Gorman, and that has been awesome. And I've learned so much, and it's been really exciting to collaborate with them, and also to just see so many people getting so much joy and learning out of the Penguins package.
I mean, of course, yes. I think like I saw that question on Twitter, and it kind of made me think of just like, not to get too existential, but just like in my career, because I'm, getting up there. And I feel like at 42, I've had a lot of reflections lately. And one of them is that, in my life, like the projects that I've worked on that I've enjoyed the most have been like people driven more than necessarily passion driven. Like, so, I think this is a great example of one where it's like, let's make a data package about penguins. And at the start, like, you don't really know that that's going to be awesome, but you know that the team is awesome. And I've always found that if I follow my gut instinct on like, okay, these people are awesome, so the project's going to be really fun to work on, and I'll never regret a moment of, the angst and anxiety that we went through to get it onto Cran, and then dealing with Cran later and updates. But I think the team was just made it like super fun, and it's been just like such a it's like a very supportive group of female data scientists, and I love that.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. Let's go from Lauren Yee. So what keeps you going and doing all the data things when it seems like the world is crumbling?
Same answer, my friend.
Yeah.
Seriously. The people around me who are supportive and awesome and keep me inspired.
Yeah, I love that. Montana Justin has a question. So
it's an awesome name.
Well, he did not give his last name.
It's a Twitter handle.
It's a Twitter handle. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
I am now calling him this is now Montana Justin. So what are y'all's thoughts about nameable colors for categorical variables? So this idea of having colors that are not only easily visually distinguishable and accessible, but also clearly and effortlessly named by your audience. So the way that I interpreted this was like, if I say sky blue, you are both like, boom, or sunshine yellow. Whereas now we really name things kind of by color palette. Mm-hmm. And so what are your thoughts? Yay, nay?
No, I think for teaching, especially with data viz, I would often think about this. Like, I would not want when I was teaching, I never taught with like shades of colors as different factor variables, because I didn't want to have to be the pedantic sounding person to be like, okay, the light blue dots represent this, but then the darker blue, do you see that it's like a couple of shades darker? Like, yeah, that one is this other species. Like, I never wanted to be like that. So I always tried to pick colors that would give me like, the ability to say this one's yellow, this one's green, this one's blue, or this one's purple, this one's pink, and then sometimes you'll get, actual real-time feedback, and you're like, wow, my color sense is so weird because I thought those were distinct colors. But I generally like that. I don't know that I necessarily no, that's actually not true. I completely pay attention to the name of colors. Like, I will literally pick colors based on their names. I'll be like, that's the kind of color I want. If it sounds like a yucky color, I'm like, no, like I'm not going for that, even if it's a pretty color. But if like the hex code name that goes along with it doesn't sound like what I'm after, I'm like, I'm going for a vibe, altogether vibe. So color name is important.
I love that.
But I don't know how evocative, at a certain point, like, they get so nuanced. I don't know how evocative they can be exactly of what color they are. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to parse the question in terms of like how much the name helps you visualize what it is. I don't know. That gets to like that question that kids ask about, like, how do I know that my blue is the same as your blue? Or how do I know that And so that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think I similarly like get very connected to color names. Like Dark Orchid 4 is going to be in everything. Right. But when I teach it, I'll say like purple. Right. So I think there's like that even colors that you fret over to get the exact right shade, oftentimes you can still use language and color names that are pretty like understandable and memorable.
Yeah. All right.
And I would say that in Slack messages between me and Alison Horst, there's a lot of exchange of hex codes because it shows you the little color chip. So we're constantly like, hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Like when we were redoing the package down site for Palmer penguins or just for like anything, like we love coming up with color palettes together. So, and then I will pay attention. I'll be like, oh, look, this one's called like, frosted orange. I like that. I'm liking the vibe. And then we'll kind of like pick out then like icy blues to go with it. And yeah.
I love this. I love this. So the final question is from Tom Mock. So you know it's good. How do you pronounce Adelie?
No.
So
no,
for
I'm going off.
So for context, if anyone is unfamiliar with the Palmer penguins, there are 3 species. There's Gentoo, Chinstrap, and then one that is spelled Adelie. How do we pronounce it?
Adelie.
Yes. That's what Kristen says.
That's what Kristen says.
That's what Adelie. Yeah. I remember it now that you say that because I always want to say Adelaide, but it's Adelie. Yeah.
Okay.
Like you're going to Adelie. You're going to the deli. Adelie.
Let's just imagine Palmer penguins walking to a deli. That is
exactly.
You got it.
I'm done.
Yep.
You got it. And that's the only one that's technically capitalized, right, Allison? Like Gentoo and Chinstrap are both technically lowercase.
Yep.
Yeah, because like the Adelie is a proper noun, so that one's the only one that's technically like we kind of like fudged it in the package down documentation and stuff. But Kristen is like, in the scientific literature, it's like very clear that Gentoo and Chinstrap are always lowercase.
Yep.
And if you look at our Use Our talk, she pronounces it in our Use Our talk. So if you can find that video on YouTube, maybe we could like link to it. I don't know if there's like show notes or how fancy we are here, but we can link to that and we can find the timestamp of where she says it, so you can hear it like from the researcher's mouth, because she says it perfectly in that at the end in the Q&A.